Good afternoon, Good Shepherd. It's Wednesday, September 14th, 2022. September 14th is the feast day of the Holy Cross, also known as the Feast of the Exaltation of the Holy Cross, generally considered to have something to do with um, Constantine, Emperor Constantine's mother, Helena, finding a piece of the true cross in one of her pilgrimages to Jerusalem. So there's great history to this celebration, and I'll return to the Holy Cross at the end. So anyway, good to be with you. A reminder that Kathy, our parish administrator, is on vacation this week. Um, so far, nothing too extraordinary has happened that we've missed her incredibly much. Of course, it's quieter in the office, not as much going on, and I like having somebody to say hello to when I walk in. Um, that said, e-news will go out tomorrow. She scheduled it in advance. But also, there have been people who have asked me in the last week, well, is the e-news going out? And I said, yes. Can we add something to it? And I said, I think so. Unfortunately, my technological skills weren't up to adding to the existing e-news. So there's going to be an extra special edition coming out in addition to the regular e-news. It'll come out just a little bit later. So when you see two emails that say e-news, just know that the second one is not a repeat of the first one. It has some extra stuff in it that did not make the cut before Kathy left for vacation. I want to say a big thank you to Jim Wolf, especially, but everybody else who helped set up tables and staff those tables for our ministry fair last Sunday. It was great to hear the rumble in the room as people were talking and visiting tables and finding out more about the various ways that they can use their gifts and talents for the greater ministry of Good Shepherd. So thank you all for stopping by and talking and staffing and setting up and all of that stuff. So thank you. And again, a special thanks to Jim. This coming Sunday, our Faith Forum resumes at 9:15. Mary Need will be continuing her ongoing series of Bible 101 classes. And for the next 3 weeks, she'll be talking about David, finishing up some of the stories about King David. Those will be Zoomed. So if you are joining us via Zoom for the first service, you can just keep on that link and it will go right into the class starting at 9:15. It'll give you a chance to go get some coffee. And then we'll make that recording available as well. So just to know that you won't miss anything. Mary will be happy to answer any questions, I'm sure. Also, this coming Sunday, after each service, after the 7:45 service, and then again after the 10:30 service, there will be a brief meeting for those of you who are or might be interested in being either a lector or a Eucharistic minister. So after both services, after the 7:45 service, and then again after the 10:30 service, there will be a brief meeting for those of you who are reading or serving as Eucharistic ministers or who would like to do that. I think some new logistical conversations and things like that. Ellen Blackburn will be leading those, and she'll have something for you. So next week on, that would be the 25th of September, after the 10:30 service, there will be an information session on the Daughters of the King. The Daughters of the King is a long-standing lay order, and that's what they call it, a lay order for women in the Episcopal Church, founded 130 plus years ago. And they dedicate themselves to prayer and service. There's a rule of life and commitment to worship. We've had various folks in the congregation who have been members of the Daughters in other congregations and who would like to reestablish a chapter. There was one here a long time ago. Reestablish a chapter at Good Shepherd. And so there will be an information session if you're just interested in the Daughters of the King, or if you're interested in the rechartering, that will follow the 10:30 service on Sunday, the 25th. Not this coming Sunday, but a week from Sunday. All right. And then a reminder that on Tuesdays we are beginning a 5:30 in the afternoon Eucharist. And it takes about a half an hour. There were several of us there yesterday celebrating the Feast of the Holy Cross. And thanks to Bishop Epting for leading that service yesterday. So that will happen every Tuesday at 5:30. And in the chapel, we ask that you enter through the chapel, the door from the portico that goes straight into the chapel, rather than going through the front door of the church. That will just make it easier for security, both at the beginning and the end. So, as I said, I was going to conclude today with some thoughts on the Holy Cross, the Feast of the Holy Cross. I had a colleague in campus ministry who's been a priest in the church for many, many years, still alive, lives in Chicago. The Reverend Sam Portaro, let's see if I can get this to show up. Maybe not. There it is. He wrote this wonderful book called Brightest and Best, a companion to Lesser Feasts and Fasts. Lesser Feasts and Fasts are those holy days, saints' days, that don't rise to the level of like the apostles or things like that. And but they're figures that you might have heard of. St. Francis, for example, is a lesser feast. And he wrote a series of meditations on many of these lesser feasts, and he included some of the more significant feasts. And he wrote a piece on the Holy Cross. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I just want to read a couple of paragraphs because I think it is quite lovely. He begins talking about why do we celebrate the cross? The cross itself, not what Jesus did on the cross, but the cross itself. Why do we celebrate that? And how do we move the celebration of the cross away from things like the crucifixion and that sort of penitential side of it? How do we sort of appropriate the cross for our own lives? And so that's where he comes up with these two paragraphs. Bishop William Wiedrich tells a wonderful story of a conductor who, while directing a large group of percussionists, raised his arms and signaled a huge corps of timpanists to sound their instruments. The din lasted a moment, then he raised his hands again and waved them to silence. Addressing the percussionists, he reminded them of a principle they had obviously overlooked. The music, he said, is in the drum, not in the mallet. One does not beat the music into the drum, one coaxes the music out of the drum. Then, taking a mallet, he struck the drum and gently let the mallet rise off the skin, as if the mallet were pulling sound from the kettle. The resulting sound was musical, full, and resonant. The cross is like the music of the timpani. It is not something one puts on, but rather something that is coaxed out of us. The wearing of the cross is not an accessory to life, but rather is the embrace of life itself. Indeed, Christians do not wear the cross as an emblem of exclusivity or a talisman of spirituality. Christians bear the cross within, in the daily embrace of all that it means to be human. To be a Christian is not to take the cross upon oneself, but rather to have the fullness of life coaxed out of oneself. For life was not imposed upon Jesus. Life was not beaten into Jesus, nor is life beaten into us. The life is in him, and he is in us, even as the music is in the drum. Blessings, my friends. I look forward to seeing you soon.